Welcome to Exam Sale. In this script we walk through the syllabus for the HP, Aruba Certified Mobility Associate exam so you can plan your study time and focus on what matters most. This exam has 5 domains with clear weightings that determine emphasis. Configure and validate Aruba WLAN Secure Employee and Guest Solutions is 44%. Troubleshoot Aruba Solutions is 18%. Identify, describe, and differentiate Aruba architecture and features is 14%. Configure and validate Aruba Mobility Master and Mobility Controller features is 12%. Monitor and manage Aruba Solutions is 12%. The largest domain, configure and validate Aruba WLAN Secure Employee and Guest Solutions, carries 44% weight and is rated hard with about 35 hours of study and hands-on plus conceptual assessment. You will learn to define virtual AP and SSID profiles, map VAPs to VLANs and broadcast domains, and tune radio profiles for high throughput. Security topics include implementing WPA2 and WPA3 standards and applying authentication and encryption profiles to SSIDs while validating VAP operational status on mobility controllers. The domain also covers user roles and firewall policies, role derivation rules, bandwidth contracts, and employee and guest authentication like 802.1x, captive portals, MAC authentication, and guest self-registration. Troubleshoot Aruba Solutions is 18%, marked hard with 20 hours of study and scenario-based assessment focused on resolving connectivity, performance, and configuration issues. You will diagnose DHCP and IP assignment failures and troubleshoot 802.11 association and authentication stages while analyzing client health scores and signal metrics. The domain teaches how to resolve roaming and handoff latency issues and use the dashboard to track client connection history and common security misconfigurations. It also covers infrastructure and AP troubleshooting including debugging AP to controller GRE tunnels, AP boot and provisioning cycles, RF interference and coverage gaps, CLI diagnostic commands, licensing verification, and controller-to-controller communication issues. Identify, describe, and differentiate Aruba architecture and features is 14%, considered easy with about 10 hours of study and conceptual plus scenario-based assessment. This domain builds foundational knowledge of Aruba OS 8-tiered architecture and the roles of Mobility Master versus Mobility Controller and the Virtual Mobility Controller. You will learn AP operational modes, the separation of control plane and data plane, and the benefits of centralized configuration, as well as Aruba hardware and software features like BLE and IoT integration, licensing types, and differences between campus and remote APs. Configure and validate Aruba Mobility Master and Mobility Controller features is 12%, medium difficulty with roughly 15 hours of study and a hands-on plus conceptual assessment. Expect to perform initial setup using the setup wizard and CLI, configure and manage device hierarchies, implement licensing synchronization and secure communications, and set system services such as NTP, DNS, and SNMP. Device provisioning and group management topics teach group-based configuration hierarchies, provisioning APs to controller groups, distinguishing global versus local parameters, ADP DNS DHCP discovery methods, verifying controller joining and configuration sync, and managing firmware upgrades across the mobility environment. Monitor and manage Aruba Solutions is 12%. Medium difficulty with about 12 hours of study and conceptual plus scenario-based assessment focused on daily operations and optimization. You will use the Aruba OS 8 dashboard for real-time monitoring, interpret client health and AP performance metrics, configure App RF for application visibility, and use Visual RF for floor plan coverage views while generating reports and alerts. RF management covers air match benefits, client match for client distribution, ARM legacy settings, channel and power adjustments, monitoring spectrum analysis for interference, and evaluating RF health from the Mobility Master dashboard so you can optimize performance. To conclude, plan your study by allocating the recommended hours and prioritizing hands-on labs for the 44% WLAN and security domain. Focus on practical troubleshooting scenarios and setup tasks, and review architectural concepts and monitoring tools to round out your preparation. Good luck, and use this breakdown to guide efficient and focused study for the HP, Aruba Certified Mobility Associate exam.